Anger is the easiest emotion to provoke, and for that very reason, it is the most dangerous weakness a man can possess. It convinces you that you are powerful because you shout, because you strike, because you erupt like fire. But in truth, every outburst is an admission of defeat. It shows the world exactly where your limits lie, exactly which strings can be pulled to control you. To be angry is to be transparent, and transparency is fatal in the game of power. Machiavelli understood that men who cannot rule themselves will never rule others. The one who masters his emotions becomes untouchable, while the one who lets his emotions master him becomes a puppet in the hands of enemies. The path to power, respect, and true freedom begins with this: learning to be unbothered, to be unshaken, to be immune to insult and immune to rage. For the man who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled, and therefore he cannot be defeated. 1. See the world for what it truly is. Machiavelli understood one of the most brutal truths of human nature, that people are not guided by ideals of goodness, fairness, or loyalty, but by necessity, fear, and self-interest. He stripped away the illusions that society likes to paint. We are told that men are noble, that friends will always stand by us, that loyalty and honesty form the foundation of human interaction. But this is not the world as it truly is. It is the world as the weak wish it to be. When you expect fairness from those driven only by self-preservation and personal gain, you set yourself up for endless frustration and anger. The root of most disappointment is not in what people do, but in the unrealistic expectations you place upon them. If you look deeper, you see that betrayal is not an act of evil. It is simply the natural outcome of self-interest. A man lies not because he despises truth, but because deceit serves him better at that moment. A friend betrays not always because he wishes you harm, but because his survival or ambition requires it. A rival slanders you not because you are uniquely hated, but because lowering you raises him. These patterns repeat across history, and yet people still act shocked each time they are wronged, as though human nature has changed. It has not. It never will, and anger is born out of that blindness. The wise man sees the world as it is, not as he wishes it to be. Once you strip away the fantasy of universal goodness, you no longer feel betrayed when someone acts selfishly. Instead, you nod with calm acceptance. You stop asking, "Why would they do this to me?" And you begin to say, "Of course, that is in their nature. It would be foolish to expect otherwise." In that clarity, anger evaporates. What once felt like a personal insult now appears as nothing more than predictable human behavior. And when you see reality without illusions, no one's actions can truly bother you. They only confirm what you already know. 2. Predict betrayal before it happens. Machiavelli warned rulers to live with the assumption that loyalty is never permanent. This truth shatters illusions but saves you from endless frustration. Anger often comes not from what is done, but from the shock that it was done. When you believe someone will stand with you forever, you are devastated when they choose themselves instead. But if you expect betrayal, you are never caught unprepared. The betrayal ceases to feel like an attack. It becomes confirmation of your foresight. When people's interests align with yours, they will appear loyal. But the moment their interests shift, so will their allegiance. This is not villainy, it is survival. A man's true loyalty is not to you, but to himself. Understand this, and the sting of betrayal loses its power.
You stop wasting your energy asking why others abandoned you, and instead devote your energy to preparing for when they will. Machiavelli's wisdom here is cold, but liberating. Anticipate the fall of loyalty, and you will never again be angered by it. 3. Control is power. Reaction is weakness. Machiavelli admired leaders who projected calm amidst chaos, for this is the mark of true strength. The man who reacts emotionally is already defeated. Anger blinds judgment, turns strategy into impulse, and reveals insecurity to all watching. Worse still, it provides your enemies with exactly what they want, proof that they can reach you. When others can provoke you into rage, you are no longer the master of the game. You are a pawn on their board. By contrast, the man who remains composed under attack sends a far more dangerous message. His stillness unsettles everyone around him. His calm is not weakness, but dominance, for it shows that nothing disturbs his clarity. Control is power, and power belongs only to those who refuse to be ruled by emotion. Rage may make you loud, but calm makes you unshakable. 4. People try to provoke you. Let them fail. Insults are traps, carefully designed to provoke you into exposing yourself. Those who wish to weaken you do not always attack with swords, they attack with words, disrespect, and small humiliations meant to pull you out of balance. If you take the bait, if you lash out, if you defend yourself loudly, you give them what they wanted all along, proof that they can control your state of mind. But Machiavelli taught that the most crushing form of victory is indifference. The king who laughs at mockery is feared, while the king who rages at it is ridiculed. The most devastating revenge against those who try to bother you is not retaliation, but composure. Their insults then die in silence, leaving them powerless, frustrated, and small. Every provocation is an invitation to reveal your weakness. Decline the invitation, and you remain untouchable.
5. The Mask of Indifference. Machiavelli warned rulers never to reveal their true feelings openly, for transparency is vulnerability. If others can read your emotions, they can control you. To master composure, you must learn the art of the mask. The mask of indifference hides both your anger and your joy, your fear and your desire. It confuses enemies, disorients rivals, and keeps even allies uncertain of your true thoughts. The world must never see whether an insult has wounded you or a betrayal has shaken you. Once others can predict your responses, they can manipulate them. But if they face a wall of calm indifference, they are left uncertain, and uncertainty is power. To wear the mask is not to be false. It is to be free from the control of others. When nothing in your face betrays your inner world, you cannot be ruled. 6. Choose power over pride. Most anger is born not from real injury, but from wounded pride. Men feel insulted, disrespected, overlooked, and they rush to defend their ego. Yet in defending pride, they sacrifice power. They fight battles that do not matter. They waste energy on petty disputes, and in the end they gain nothing but the satisfaction of a fleeting emotion. Machiavelli understood this fatal mistake. The wise man asks, "Does this serve my position or only my ego?" If the answer is ego, let it go. An insult forgotten costs nothing. An insult avenged can cost everything. The man who clings to pride will die with it, but the man who chooses power will live above it. Remember this: pride may feel good in the moment, but power sustains you forever. 7. Fortune favors the cold strategist. Life will not always bend to your will. Fortune is wild, unpredictable, and cruel.
The weak man curses fate, wastes his energy in anger, and demands that the world should have been different. The strong man, as Machiavelli taught, accepts misfortune as part of the game. Anger at fortune is useless. It changes nothing. But composure allows you to adapt, to shift, to find new advantage where others see only loss. When fortune strikes against you, the only question worth asking is not why me, but what now? Rage paralyzes, calm opens possibilities. The man who refuses to waste time and anger over chance becomes the man who eventually bends chance in his favor. Fortune favors not the emotional, but the strategist. 8. Understand people's weaknesses instead of fighting them. It is foolish to rage at people for their flaws, when those flaws can serve you. Greed, vanity, ambition, and fear, these are the levers by which men can be guided. Instead of being angered by someone's selfishness, Machiavelli would advise you to ask, how can I use this? Why waste time condemning weakness when weakness is the surest tool of control? Every time someone offends or irritates you, they are also exposing what controls them. The angry man reveals his pride. The greedy man reveals his hunger. The fearful man reveals his insecurity. And each of these can be used against them. Anger blinds you to these openings, but cold observation allows you to turn human weakness into opportunity. Do not waste time being offended by human flaws. Learn to master them. 9. Silence is the loudest response. Silence is one of the most powerful weapons Machiavelli recommended. When you argue, defend, or shout, you place yourself on the same level as your accuser. But silence elevates you above them. It denies them fuel, denies them satisfaction, and creates a haunting uncertainty. People expect reaction. They expect anger. When none comes, they are unsettled. A man who responds to insult with words seems human. A man who responds with silence seems untouchable. Do not explain yourself. Do not defend what does not need defending. Let silence hang in the air like a blade, sharp and unbearable. It will speak louder than rage ever could.
10. The final lesson. Rule yourself. Rule the world. Machiavelli's deepest and most enduring wisdom is that the man who rules himself cannot be ruled by anyone else. Anger, irritation, offense. These are not mere emotions. They are shackles, chains forged by those who understand how to provoke, manipulate, and control men of lesser discipline. But once you break these chains, once you master your own mind and reactions, you step into a freedom so absolute that no scheme, insult, or betrayal can touch you. The moment you cease to react impulsively to the provocations of others, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You are no longer a man reacting. You are a man directing, shaping the course of events with deliberate precision, turning even adversity into advantage. True power, Machiavelli teaches, is not found in the conquest of lands, the accumulation of armies, or the subjugation of rivals. It is found in the conquest of oneself. The man who is unbothered, who cannot be provoked, who wears composure as a suit of armor, becomes untouchable. His calm unnerves enemies, his silence disarms critics, and his every measured action carries the weight of authority. Such a man is unstoppable, for nothing in the world can disturb his equilibrium. To rule yourself is to ascend beyond the petty manipulations, betrayals, and chaos of human nature. Master your emotions, and all else bends to your clarity, your patience, and your unshakable will. Rule yourself, and in doing so, you rule the world. 11. Detach from praise and insults alike. Most men believe they are strong because they respond with fury to insults, but their weakness is revealed not only in their anger,
It is revealed in their hunger for praise. They crave recognition, applause, and validation from others. They long to be seen, celebrated, and lifted above the crowd. And when that validation is given, they feel powerful. But when it is withheld, when the applause dies, when the whispers turn critical, they collapse into bitterness and despair. Machiavelli understood that this is just another form of enslavement. A man ruled by praise is no freer than a man ruled by insult, for both are chains that bind him to the opinions of others. Insults and flattery are not opposites. They are the same chain, painted in different colors. If you rise too high when others praise you, you will inevitably fall too low when they condemn you. If your self-worth is built upon applause, it will be shattered the moment the crowd turns its back. But the man who detaches himself from both, the man who is unmoved by flattery and unshaken by mockery, this man cannot be ruled. His value is not dictated by the voices of the many, but by the results he achieves, by the strength of his own will, and by the cold clarity of his strategy. The wise man does not measure himself against the unstable tides of human approval. He knows that the same crowd that cheers today will condemn tomorrow, that the same hand that praises will one day strike, and that loyalty based on admiration is as fragile as loyalty based on fear. The moment you free yourself from needing validation, you also free yourself from the sting of criticism. No insult can wound you, no praise can blind you, and no man's opinion can dictate the direction of your life. In this detachment lies true independence, the kind of freedom that Machiavelli knew separates rulers from the ruled.
12. Time is the enemy of anger. Machiavelli understood that anger is nothing more than a flame, a violent blaze that consumes everything in its reach, yet weakens the longer it burns. What feels unbearable and urgent in the heat of the moment often becomes trivial when examined hours or days later. This is why so many men sabotage themselves. They allow the fire of rage to dictate their actions before it has time to die out. They end friendships that could have been salvaged. They destroy opportunities that could have elevated them, and they declare wars, both personal and political, that never needed to be fought. Their downfall is not that they felt anger, but that they failed to let time expose its true insignificance. The wise strategist does the opposite. When anger rises, he does not strike. He does not retaliate in haste, nor does he feed the fire with words or actions. Instead, he withdraws into silence, knowing that silence is the oxygen-starved chamber in which anger suffocates. He allows hours, days, or even weeks to pass before deciding whether a response is warranted. And in most cases, the truth reveals itself. What seemed like an insult worth avenging, or an injustice worth blood, was nothing more than a fleeting shadow. 9 times out of 10, time itself will dissolve the anger into nothing. But this discipline does more than save a man from mistakes. It transforms anger into power. For while others burn quickly and recklessly, exposing their weakness for all to see, the patient man appears unshakable. His enemies grow frustrated because they cannot provoke him, cannot lure him into hasty reaction, cannot read the depth of his silence. To master time is to master temper. And to master temper is to wield control not only over yourself, but also over those who expect and rely upon your rage. 13. Power lies in emotional distance. To be unbothered does not mean to be numb or indifferent. It means to rise above the turbulence of ordinary men. Machiavelli observed that the downfall of many rulers was not their lack of power, but their inability to detach themselves from the emotions that surrounded them. Those who sink too deeply into the affairs of others, into their praises, insults, betrayals, and grievances, become prisoners of the very people they seek to command. But the ruler who maintains emotional distance gains an advantage that is invisible yet absolute. He is never blinded by rage, nor intoxicated by flattery.
He sees men for what they are, not what they claim to be. Emotional distance is the vantage point of power. When you stand too close to people, you absorb their chaos, and chaos clouds judgment. But when you step back, when you remove yourself from the entanglements of personal offense or attachment, you begin to see life with the cold clarity of a strategist. Insults cease to be wounds, they are simply moves on a chessboard. Betrayals no longer feel like tragedies, they are predictable maneuvers in the game of survival. From this higher ground, you do not waste energy asking, "Why would they do this to me?" Instead, you calmly answer, "Because this is what men do." This distance does not strip you of power, it multiplies it. For while others lash out impulsively, revealing their weakness and vulnerability, you remain calm, untouchable, unreadable. Your enemies grow frustrated because they cannot provoke a reaction, cannot pierce your armor of restraint. Your calm becomes terrifying, your silence more powerful than their shouts. The man who sees life not as a personal battle, but as a grand strategy, never wastes himself on anger. He calculates, he waits, and then he strikes, not when emotion demands it, but when the moment serves him.
14. Turn insults into advantage. Anger consumes energy, focus, and clarity, and when you allow it to dictate your response to insults, you hand your enemies exactly what they desire, proof that they can control you. Machiavelli knew that a wise man does not waste time reacting to attacks with fury. He transforms them into tools for his own advantage. Every insult, every whisper of slander, every attempt to humiliate you is a window into the weakness and motives of those who oppose you. When someone mocks you, it often reveals envy. They fear your rise. When they slander you, it exposes their insecurity. They are threatened by your influence. And when they attempt to humiliate you, they offer you an opportunity to appear larger, calmer, and more powerful than they ever imagined possible. The man who remains composed, who refuses to give anger a voice, communicates something far more intimidating than words ever could: dominance. To rage is to descend into the same chaos as your attackers, to stoop to their level, and in doing so, to validate their power over you. But to remain silent, to act with measured strategy, to let success speak louder than any words. They do not see your anger, they see only your control. And control is a weapon sharper than the sword. Every insult becomes a stepping stone, every act of derision an opportunity to cement your authority. The greatest victories are often won not with confrontation, but with the calm, deliberate transformation of attacks into platforms for influence. Machiavelli's lesson is clear. Do not silence insults with anger. Silence them with success, with power, and with the terrifying composure of a man untouchable by the petty machinations of others. Machiavelli's harshest truth is also his most liberating. The greatest throne a man can sit upon is mastery of himself. Anger, irritation, offense, these are chains that others place on you, tools by which they pull you into their control. But when you refuse to be provoked, when you no longer rise to insult, betrayal, or misfortune, you remove their grip entirely. You stop being a man reacting to the world and become a man directing it. Your enemies will try to wound your pride, fortune will try to test your patience, and life itself will try to provoke you into weakness. But if you remain composed, if you wear indifference like armor and use silence as a weapon, you rise above them all. Remember this: kingdoms fall, wealth is stolen, allies betray, but the man who rules his own mind is unassailable. To be unbothered is not to be passive, it is to be powerful beyond reach. Rule yourself, and you will rule everything.